Hey up everyone, hope you're all doing well. How would Dricus Du Plessis, the middleweight champion, get on against every ranked opponent in the light heavyweight division? And to make it make a bit more sense, from ranked 15 all the way to ranked 11, it'll be 3-round fights only, and from ranked 10 all the way to the champion, it'll be 5-round fights. And just before we get started, we've done this for plenty of other champions in lower weight categories, so if you want to go check out those videos, you can do. And we're going to do the next one for Magomed Ankalaev in the heavyweight division, and after this, I'm going to start doing legends up against a current 15 in every single weight division as well, depending on the legend as well. So if you're interested in that sort of stuff, make sure to subscribe. But anyways, let's get straight into it. So to start things off, at number 15, we have Alonzo Menifield. Now, how would this one play out against DDP in a 3-round fight? DDP absolutely smashes him. I don't see how Menifield has any success. Maybe he catches DDP. That's about it. I think DDP is better in every aspect of the fight game compared to Alonzo Menifield. I think DDP absolutely smokes him and finishes him with maybe a submission or ground and pound finish in the second round. Next up, we have number 14 ranked Zhang Mingyang. Now, how would this one play out? I actually think this one's quite difficult, mainly because Zhang Mingyang, he's only 26. He's on a good winning streak right now, but I still feel like there's a lot of question marks around him, but I do actually believe he's going to be really good. He's showing some good power, some good striking in his fights. His grappling's still a bit, a bit more question marks, and again, he's only 26, somewhat inexperienced, but he's got a lot of fights, he's got a lot of bouts under his belt. So I'm going to say that DDP wins this one, but I wouldn't be surprised if Zhang Mingyang won this one because his striking is good. I just feel like because he's got a big question mark around his grappling, DDP will be able to take advantage of that. But Zhang Mingyang is also massive for light heavyweight, in all fairness. I think this could be like a 29-28 for DDP. He could get chinned, but ultimately I'm going to side with DDP just because he's got more experience and I've got a lot more to go off with DDP. So I'm going with DDP with 29-28 decision. Next up, we have number 13, Bogdan Guskov, who just beat Krylov last night. But how would he get on against DDP? I think DDP submits him, going to be completely honest. I just think when Bogdan took on Billy Alicana, who also won last night, then it really showed that if you know what you're doing with your grappling, you can put him in some bad situations. Guskov is good, don't get me wrong. He could maybe catch DDP, but I think DDP gets like a first or second round submission. Billy Alicana was in some great positions against Bogdan Guskov. I think that DDP will be able to get him down and submit him, if I'm going to be completely honest, in the first round. At number 12, we have Johnny Walker, who we all know and love, but he has no chin. Therefore, I'm going with DDP. Johnny Walker, this would be a very tism fight. A lot of tistic attributes to this fight, in my opinion, but I think DDP would end up with the most tism and quite strong in this one and actually KO Johnny Walker in the second round. Now, Johnny Walker is a big guy, in all fairness, and you don't really know what you're getting with him. Very unpredictable, very outgoing, and I don't know how to describe his style. If you just see his style, he's just very tardy. Anyways, I'm going to go with DDP by second round knockout. Maybe he gets clipped at some point in the first round, but ultimately, I think that DDP would also find the chin of Johnny Walker, like many other fighters have done. And now for the last 3-round fight, Azamat Murzakanov, the undefeated light heavyweight. This one's quite interesting because I do rate him. He's got some very good striking. He can mix it in with his grappling as well, but nothing too crazy. We saw him using his clinch against Menifield, but he also slowed down a lot against Menifield in the second round, like halfway through before he stopped Menifield. I'm going to go with DDP. This is a 3-round fight. Maybe Murzakanov. He's not exactly massive for light heavyweight either, in my opinion. I think DDP takes like a 29-28. Maybe he finishes him in the third round by a sub or ground and pound finish because he's so fatigued. But yeah, I'm going to go with DDP, but I could see how Azamat Murzakanov could win this fight, in all fairness, but I'm going to go with DDP. And now we get to the 5-round fights. This is where it gets a little bit more interesting. DDP takes on number 10 ranked Nikita Krylov. Now, how would Krylov get on? I actually think Krylov's quite decent, well-rounded, but going off his last 2 performances where he's just been chinned twice. Reyes one, that was a bad one. And then why he came back after a few, 2 or 3 months after getting slept cold by Reyes, he got slept again by Guskov, kind of expected, in my opinion. With that being bared in mind, I feel like DDP will be able to find the chin. I actually think Krylov could have some success, but ultimately, I think DDP will be able to finish Krylov. I feel like this is the most finishable Krylov's ever been. Therefore, I think DDP is able to finish Krylov. Krylov may be making it a bit difficult in moments, but I feel like DDP will be able to catch Krylov stepping in with a jab or something and finishing him. Sort of like when he did with Whittaker when Whittaker stepped in and just got tagged. A kind of similar finish to the Whittaker fight. At number 9, we have Volkan Oezdemir, and I actually think this is quite simple and easy for DDP. Volkan Oezdemir, he has some good power. He's had some decisions what maybe should have gone his way. He's not exactly a bad fighter. He does have some success in some fights as well, but I just think DDP is going to catch him. Volkan Oezdemir is just so open to be hit. He's very hittable, and I feel like DDP will be able to find the chin. Maybe Volkan can find the chin of DDP, but I don't see that happening, being completely honest. I think DDP will get like a second or third round TKO ground and pound finish. Ooh, now we have a fan favorite in Dominick Reyes. Can he continue this nice little redemption arc in a moment? This lovely little comeback story against DDP. Ooh, I feel like this is the thing, man. This is the thing. I actually feel like Dominick Reyes could possibly chin DDP. He definitely has the possibility of doing that. He has a good chance of doing that, in my opinion. But does he? I don't exactly know. I feel like DDP does have a good chin. Yes, he can get hit, but at the same time, I feel like it's quite hard to hit him super clean. Like, you can hit him clean, but he doesn't get hit clean a stupid amount, in my opinion. Can Reyes find that chin and put him to sleep? I'm not entirely sure. I would put my money more on DDP. I would favor him a bit more, but I do think there's a chance that Reyes could find that chin, but I'm gonna have to go with DDP. I think he would mix it up really well. He can fight really well whilst fatigued. I'm gonna go with a DDP. Do I go? I don't know, because Reyes also, his chin's still a bit thingy. I know he's on a good little run right now, but I still think his chin, it still could be a bit questionable, in my opinion. So I'm gonna go with like a 4th round TKO for DDP, maybe a submission instead, but I do think DDP will be able to finish Reyes. If not, well, then he wins by like a 49-46, a 48-47 by decision. Ooh, now we get number 7 ranked Aleksandar Rakić. Now, how would this one play out? Because I feel like Rakić on a technical level is quite good, but when it comes to his fight IQ, not the best. His gas tank, not the best as well. I feel like he could take the very first round quite clearly against DDP, like he did against Jiří as well. Did great in that first round, but after that first round, I feel like he's going to fall off a bit, and DDP is just going to carry on with that pressure, or that unpredictability from him as well, mixing things up. And I think DDP gets a decision, maybe a submission in like the 4th round. I'm gonna say like a 49-46, 50-45. I'm gonna lean more towards a 49-46 for DDP in this one. A very clear one for him as well. Okay, next up, number 6, Jamahal Hill, former champion as well. How would he get on against DDP in a 5-round fight? It's hard for me to even make an argument for Jamahal Hill, considering he's just been walloped back to back to back. He's on a 3-fight losing skid right now, and not really looks great in, well, I mean, he had some success against Jiří, but that one against Rountree was really rough. He didn't look good whatsoever. Could DDP, I feel like he could land some decent shots against DDP, but ultimately I just feel like DDP would outwork him. Again, being very unpredictable, but again, I do feel like Hill could have his moments here and there, because DDP has got good footwork, but he's not like constantly in and out, in and out, in and out. But I feel like the blitzes of DDP would really trouble Jamahal Hill. I'm gonna go with a decision for DDP, in all fairness. I feel like him mixing in his grappling could work for him as well. Hill quite big for light heavyweight too, but again, I just feel like DDP is going to get like a 49-46, a 50-45 over Jamahal Hill. Number 5, we have Jan Błachowicz. Now, I actually think, even though Jan Błachowicz is pretty much a pensioner now, and you'll see him in a retirement home near you soon, I still think he could have some success against DDP. Am I stupid for thinking that? I don't think so. He has good power still. In the light heavyweight division, you tend to get away with being older, like we saw with Glover, like we're seeing now with Jan Błachowicz, still having a contested fight against Ulberg, and some people thinking he won as well. You can get away with being a bit older in the higher weight classes. I do think DDP wins, but I don't think this is easy. I think this is very contested. Błachowicz built like a truck as well, quite big for light heavyweight. I just think DDP mixing everything in. I feel like Jan Blachowicz activity, now that he has gotten a bit older, has slowed down a lot. The pace of him isn't as good as it used to be. I feel like DDP giving him something to think about with his grappling as well could also really mess him up. I remember Glover doing really well with mixing things in. I feel like DDP could get away with that as well. I think Jan would have some good moments with the leg kicks, and maybe on the break in the clinch as well, like we saw against Luke Rockhold. But ultimately, I'm still going to go with DDP. I think a 48-47, but I do think Jan Blachowicz will have his moments and maybe sting DDP here and there. But again, I'm going to go with a DDP by decision. Next up at number 4, we have Khalil Rountree. Now, everyone loves Khalil Rountree, but I do think DDP beats Khalil Rountree. I'm not going to say with relative ease, but I do think, I don't know, like I always have flashbacks of the Cutelaba fight where he just absolutely mauled Khalil Rountree. Granted, that was a while back now, maybe like, what, 6 years ago? Yeah, I still think that DDP would have a lot of success in his grappling against Khalil Rountree. I even thought Dustin Jacoby beat Khalil Rountree as well. Don't get me wrong, I think Khalil Rountree has stepped into it a bit more and upped his game, but at the same time, I don't think he's as great as people like to make out. I think his striking's good, but I don't think DDP would show much respect to him. I don't think he would stand at kickboxing range like Jamahal Hill did. I think he would really push the pace, and Khalil Rountree does tend to slow down. one. I do think DDP would win like a contested 49-46. I think Khalil could have his moments, maybe even drop DDP. But again, I think DDP would win this one just by being the better overall MMA fighter. Now, next up, Carlos Ulberg at number 3. I actually think Carlos Ulberg could do quite well against DDP. I know people hate on Carlos Ulberg, don't think he's that good. I actually think he's quite decent. I know he hasn't been looking great in some outings, but I do actually think he's quite decent at using striking, when shot selection. I just think he needs to up the activity a bit more. I do think he could have some success against DDP, and he's quite big for 205 as well. I'm gonna say DDP wins like a 48-47. I feel like this could be quite contested. People might not agree with this, but I genuinely think he could. I think Carlos Ulberg could do quite decent at range, and when he's inside the pocket, that's where I think DDP gets his work done. I think he'll be able to get some takedowns on Ulberg, but I do think Ulberg would have his moments here and there. His footwork would be quite decent as well. But yeah, I'm going to go with DDP by a contested 48-47 or a contested 49-46. Ooh, number 2. The tism of all tisms. Tism meets tism. Plot armor meets plot armor. Weird meets weird. Goofy meets goofy. Whatever you want to label this fight, DDP versus Jiří Procházka. This would be... Oh, I don't even know how to picture this fight. I'll be completely honest. Like, I go into these videos just going off the top of my head, not really thinking too much. I don't do notes or anything like that. I just go off the top of my head. I don't know. I honestly don't know. I'll probably lean towards DDP. Jiří, there's always been talks of moving down to 185, but he is still quite big for 205 in my opinion. I do think he will be able to land big on DDP. I'll be completely honest. But it's when you start mixing in the grappling. We saw Glover have a lot of success against Jiří when it comes to the grappling side of things. I feel like DDP will be able to replicate that with his grappling, have a lot of moments against him. But I feel like Jiří will be able to hurt DDP a lot. But at the same time, I feel like DDP could hurt Jiří Procházka as well. This is really hard. If you went with Jiří Procházka, I wouldn't blame you whatsoever. I think I'm going to go with DDP, but I do think Jiří will be able to cause some big damaging moments against DDP, causing it to be very close and contested. But I still think I'm going to go with DDP for this one. And people always mention about size in all of these videos that I do. DDP's built like a brick shithouse, so I think the size wouldn't be too much of an issue for this one. And I think DDP gets a very close and contested win against Jiří Procházka. Maybe there's some shouts of robbery as well. And we get to another juicy one because number 1 ranked is Alex Pereira, the Shammermeister himself. How would this one go along? I think this one's quite hard as well because I actually think I favor Alex Pereira, you know. I feel like he would be able to find the chin of DDP, and if he finds that chin, you know what I mean? It's kind of thingy. But at the same time, we just saw Ankalaev do a great job against Pereira because he kept Pereira second guessing. And I do feel like DDP would be able to keep Pereira second guessing quite often. I would be able to take Pereira down. Yes. Do I think he could hold Pereira down? I don't think so. Not for a long period of time, at least. But I do think he'll be able to possibly submit Alex Pereira. But at the same time, I feel like there's a great chance that Pereira will find the chin and knock out and spark him out, DDP. But how do I see this one going? This is such a hard one. I'm going to go with DDP. If you want to say Pereira, I'm not going to hate you for it. I think that's completely fair. But for me, I just feel like I've got to go with the guy who's more well-rounded and proven. And I just feel like DDP is that guy. And I feel like he'll be able to cause Pereira to slow down a fair bit. And he would dictate the pace. I feel like DDP will be able to win this one. Oh, actually, do I? I don't know. This isn't fair. I don't like doing this. Ooh. Oh, my days. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I honestly don't know. He's just so unpredictable. And Pereira does leave his chin up in the air a bit. I mean, he got wobbled by Ankalaev. He got tagged by Adesanya. He does get hit a fair bit. I know. I'm still going to go with DDP. I'm going to go with my gut. I'm going to go with DDP. And I actually think he's going to finish Pereira in the 4th or 5th round when he's a bit more fatigued, either by submission or a ground and pound finish. And now we get to the champion himself, Magomed Ankalaev versus DDP. Champ v champ. How does this one go? Ooh, boy. I don't have a clue. I'm going to be honest. In my video talking about champs v champs, go check it out if you haven't already, but this is a spoiler. I predicted that DDP would be able to win, and I do think he has a tricky style. I think he's got a tricky style for anyone, let's be completely honest. Just his style alone is tricky for absolutely everyone. And I do think he could do great against Ankalaev. But Ankalaev, I don't think I give him enough credit on the feet, I'll be completely honest. I kind of disregard his striking for how good he actually is. It is actually really good, and his grappling is good as well. I do think DDP could win this one, but I'm going to switch up from my champion v champion video. I think that Ankalaev would beat DDP in a very very close and competitive decision win. I feel like this could go either way, but I'm going to go with Ankalaev. I feel like the awkwardness of DDP could cause a lot of problems for Ankalaev, but ultimately, and him even mixing things up, because he will try and take you down, even though you're meant to be the grappler. He will attempt it, but still, I'm going to go with Ankalaev, but this will be very close. I do think Ankalaev's fight IQ lets him down a bit, and that's where DDP would be able to take a bit of advantage from. But again, I'm going to go with Ankalaev by a very close and competitive decision. So there we have it, guys. That's how I think Dricus Du Plessis would get on in the light heavyweight division against all of the ranked opponents. Let me know in the comments if you agree or disagree. Who do you think will be his hardest fight? Who do you think would beat him? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for watching the video. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.